Now let's get this show started. Welcome to the ZBHO Dojo. My name is Spicer, your spicy sensei, if you will. And today on the stream, we're going to be working on critiques. We got a few critiques in here. We got enough time afterwards. We are going to get into some Frank Frazetta. We got a little bit of news. We'll share that in a little bit. But first, before we get started, before we start kicking ass, taking names, and turning on autosave, let us give thanks and praise to the lords and gods of Sijer, starting with Frank Frazetta. Thank you, Frank Frazetta. Next, St. Joseph. Next, St. Paul. Look up here, look up here, look up here, look up here, look up here. Good morning. Next, Ryan, King of Slean. And finally, Simon Lee. Spider. Thank you for your education, your inspiration, and your overall badassness. How is it going, Dojo Warriors and Warriors? Goddesses, all of you. Let's see how it's going. Let's see how pumped the Dojo Warriors are to have the sensei back. Let's see. Viva Lon, thank you very much for being here. Yeah, the ZBrush channel had the wrong link, basically. Yeah, for some reason it's been doing that. I'll let him know. Thanks for letting me know. Tamim, thank you for being here at 1 a.m. Queen Sir, Dojo Goddess, what is up? Attentive Slug, what's going on? Silent Moon, where can I submit anything? To the ether. All right. Silent Moon, that is a great question. You can join the ZBHO Dojo on Discord. It's totally free. And here's the link. There is a critique submissions section. It's the third channel there. You can post it. Looks like we got two more. We got Ben. See, did I get Ben? Yeah. Let's Ben, it says I need access. You need to make sure that the access is available to everyone. All right, and Attentive Slug, back at it again. Let's get this downloaded. 09 Attentive Slug Woman. Alrighty, so we are going to get some critiques done and all that good stuff. We're going to be helping you, leveling you up every time we get on this stream, so you better make sure you're here every Tuesday. If you haven't already, make sure you like, make sure you subscribe to the channel down below. It helps us all. All right, it helps Pixologic, helps the dojo, it helps yourself, because now the algorithm's gonna keep on giving it to you. So just like, subscribe, comment if you will. It helps us all out. So let us get over into the dojo. And watch this. Visual effects for everybody. Okay. All right, so we're gonna start with Hust visual effects. So it's Atlas Shrugged, obviously. Okay, so there's some things that are kind of throwing me off about this sculpt. The musculature is kind of sketched in pretty well. There's just some things that we need to adhere to while we're considering a pose like this, okay? So first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put this in the center. I'm going to turn on all of this, and I'm going to make sure that I get a nice front view to the sculpt, so I'm not constantly moving it, okay? So let's look at a male skeleton. Skeletons. Let's go with an 8-head male, just standard. All right, so let's go back here and let us insert. Okay. So we're going to insert the skeleton. We are going to go to deformation, and we're going to press unify, and that should help us get it a little bit closer to the size that we're looking for. So I want to turn this off, so now I'm only addressing one subtool instead of all the subtools. If you are going to use this method, I teach this to all my mentorship students so that they can just get into sculpting and stop worrying about proportions and landmarks and all that, and where it is, where am I going to do this, where am I going to do that, one arm's longer than the other, one leg's longer than the other, the head's all fucking slops, you know. We don't need any of that, okay? So what we're gonna do is we're gonna use the skeleton to our benefit. This isn't something new or revolutionary. This is something that's they've been doing this for hundreds of years, okay? Hundreds of years, right? Ever since they blocked out the skeleton, they've been clipping wires and putting it together according to the proportion of a picture of a skeleton underneath. And then they pose that thing, and then they start sculpting on top of it, which is pretty much what we're doing, okay? So, let's see. Anna Paula, thank you very much for being here. Dojo Goddess. Queen Serb, feeling all the alpha vibes. You damn right. Vamara, what is going up? Derek Lowry, what up? Marco Kyo Sensei. The lizard am adder asu. Amaterasu. Amaterasu. The lizard Amaterasu. I love your high personality. Thank you very much. Thank you. Leo Filler. Sensei, how you doing? I'm doing very well. Thank you very much for asking. Just in case, checking it now. Good. Winston Ekin, what's going on? Tamir Hussein, that's mine. It's awful. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. We all started from the same place, so don't worry about putting yourself down. All right, we'll do it for you. Eric in the house. Juan Carlos Franco, what's going on? How you doing, brother? Appreciate you being here. Emmanuel Obiri coming in on all the channels. Thank you very much. Daniel Medieros Sensei, what's up? Scorpion Core, what's going on? Okay, so we are I put the waypoint or the gizmo right at the head of the sternum, so that way all I have to do is just match it to this. So now I just need to kind of get it in the same spot, put it to the sternum here as well, and then we will grow it up until it's kind of in proportion to your character, okay? And I'm using the acromion process, this little flat area of kind of measuring your character, okay? So what I would do is I would use a skeleton to your benefit, okay? So, but first what we need to do is we need to take a look at some people doing this activity, which is called the Strongman Atlas Stone, okay? So I went through here and just saw a couple images here and there. What I would do is I would find video, because in the video you're going to see them struggling and putting it on top and then carrying it and then putting it on the pedestal, right? All that stuff is going to be very valuable to you. So this is one example of that, where you have one guy, you know, putting that up there and bracing it with this one, right? So he's kind of leaning forward so he can brace it with this, and it's not going to roll off and come off of him, right? And then he's holding this one so it doesn't roll off to the side, right? So he's leaning forward a little bit and holding it and doing this, okay? Right? Right there, okay? So here he's doing the same thing, right? Across the face, up, and then putting one arm like that. Okay. Again, another example. Doing the same thing, but he's got his elbow up. But he's still going across his head, bracing it, and then bracing it again like this. Okay? So that's kind of what we need to do here. Aaron, Titan, holding boulder. Are we doing anime? Are we doing anime? Oh my god. Look. Alright, we all need to grow up eventually, okay? We all need to grow up eventually. So let's start by not watching anime anymore, okay? Okay? Okay. Okay? Alright. Okay? So I do not like any of the anatomy in Titans. It's so messed up. It's so just weird. Like, if you want... There's no reason for me to critique the anatomy on Aaron, because I sculpted one for Universal Studios, and the anatomy is nothing like human anatomy. Like the serratus, the back muscles, all that stuff is totally different, right? So you can do that. I don't know. I just hate practicing really just made up anatomy. I don't think that's good for anyone trying to learn. It's not gonna establish any good foundations for you. Okay, but if we are going to do it, okay, because I'm not, opposed to you having fun while you're sculpting. That is important. But just know that you are not doing an anatomy study whenever you're doing this. You are doing something totally different. Okay, but I will critique it as according to anatomy. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we are going to raise this up to where the acromion process should be for each of these. Okay, we're going to roll them back as well. And even though we are looking at this, you can see that his torso is twisted, right? Because if it was like this, it'd be very flat. Okay, so we do want to, give him some contrapposto. Okay, so meaning that our torso and our hips are turning the opposite way, right? This one's going this way and that one's going that way. And so that's going to give you some really good contrapposto. So what I would do is just sculpt it symmetrically and then at the end twist it and then fix all the anatomy dealing with the core to get that, all right? So the scapula moves 30 degrees, 30 to 35 degrees. Like after you're here, your scapula is not going to move anymore, right? Like right here, it's at 33 degrees and it's going to stay there for the rest of the time. Let's see. Do you think I need to make écorchés to learn anatomy, or can I learn it by understanding it and not doing muscle by muscle and bone by bone? It just depends on how deeply you want to understand what you're doing. You can just look at images and sculpt it as long as you want, but whenever you want to understand what you're doing, to do écorchés and go bone by bone is very important. You don't need to know every single muscle that's underneath every other muscle. You don't need that. You just need the ones that are directly underneath the skin or influencing that muscle that's underneath that skin to a degree so much that you need to understand it, right? Like obviously there's muscle underneath a muscle somewhere in the wrist, they're not all just perfectly side by side or whatever. So, but like the brachialis is underneath the bicep, right? And that's going to influence the size of your bicep because it's kind of like a pillow, right? There's a pectoralis minor here, which is going to puff up pectoralis right here, so we don't just see it dipping down into your rib cage, right? Those muscles you want to understand because they're directly underneath the subcutaneous muscles. But you'll need to know every single small little muscle thing, just the ones that are sculptural. That's all you gotta do. Okay. Alrighty. My pleasure, attentive. My pleasure. Man, finally, literally, I'm learning about the human proportions and anatomy, and I find you here. How lucky I am. Oh, yeah. Buckle up! Because you're about to go on a ride. All right? So, we have this here. We are going to grab this, Control-Shift-A. We're going to invert. We're going to clear our mask. We're going to mask it, and we're going to bring everything back. Okay? So now what I want to do is I don't want to just put the waypoint right here. Okay, what I want to do is I want to have it kind of like at the attachment point of these two. And I also want to have these going down the down the bone, right? Like the axis is going along with where the humerus is flowing, right? And so right here as well, I'm just gonna get that green arrow to go along the humerus. And then whenever I rotate it, I can rotate it freely, okay? So it's still going to move things out of place. You're gonna have to put it back. You're gonna have to rotate it. You're gonna have to put it back, all that stuff. But this will prevent you from doing that too much, okay? So we're going to rotate it because we're going to put our bicep facing straight up. Okay, so we can do that with our shoulder, right? We can go 180 degrees with our shoulder, right? I mean, some people have hyper flexibility and can go a little bit further, but generally, you know, you're going 180 degrees, 200, 220 degrees, one way or the other, okay? So that's what we want to do. We want to make sure that this bicep is facing straight up. So that's going to come down the femur right here, okay? So I'm going to put this back in socket. Okay, so my Jesus Christ pose. All right, put that right around there. Okay, and let's bring it forward. Just rotate it just a little bit so it's not too. It's not rotated too far back. Okay, so we've got that. Let's rotate it this way as well. Just keep it in line with what you got. And now what we can do is we can unmask everything. Let's grab all that, Control-Shift-A, mask, bring everything back, mask, or click and invert the mask. So now what we want to do is we want to treat this epicondyle right here as a cylinder. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this right here. And you know what we got to do first? We got to orient this so that we can move this freely without breaking any bones, okay? So right in the center, that's what I want to do. You see how it's not interacting with the bone? It's perfectly, not perfectly, but it's rotating around the epicondyles, okay? So that's what we want. Put that right there. And then we want to bring your mesh back and we want to put that right there. Okay. So now we can automatically see the type of proportions that we need to change, right? You can see that one arm is shorter than the other. Okay. So looking at these images of Atlas people, their legs are usually straight unless they're walking forward, but they're usually straight bracing them. So with Aaron, I don't know what you want to do with Aaron, all right? But you definitely want to put him in a contrapposto and have him like walking forward. One thing that's really going to help you so your character doesn't feel like it's just floating in the air is just put down a cylinder. You can Q cylinder wide if you want. Make it as big as you need to. Make it very much smaller. You know, we don't want a base that's like this, right? We don't want that. That's not going to help us, right? That's just going to cost a lot of material. So we want to put it right about there. And then we can have some type of stability here. So I'm gonna line it up with these feet because we know that it's in proportion, right? So put that right there. And then we're gonna go to the femur, and we're gonna do the same thing, right? We're gonna come here, we're going to press W, we're gonna hold Alt, we're gonna drag that out, we're going to reset it, and we're going to put it in the middle right here, right? We're going to align our axes so that they're set with the socket. We're gonna mask, bring everything back, invert the mask, and rotate this out. Okay, somewhere around there. Alrighty. So now what we can do is we can start using the skeleton to really block in our forms. Okay, you can see that he's kind of off to the side, right? So what we want to do is we want to center this guy, because right now what you want to do is you really just want to sculpt him symmetrically, and then you can do whatever you want to do after that, right? So at least in the rough pose of where you have him, okay? So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna mirror and weld him, and I'm not gonna worry about the head, okay? So now we have it a little bit better, okay? So let's talk about the anatomy. First thing we need to do, I'm gonna get rid of this boulder real quick, and we're gonna just smush his head together. Good with that. Okay, so first thing we need to do is we need to set our chromium process. Okay, so that's what this is right here. That's this bony landmark, and all of these bony landmarks I'm about to explain to you are all subcutaneous. In our profession, that means right underneath the mesh. Okay, so you don't want 3 inches and then the bony landmark, right? You want it very close. Al dente is what I say to my students, right? To the bone, okay? To me, what can I do to make my body natural since my style is mainly realistic? I want to learn and understand what makes sculpts natural and real. I mean by blocking muscles to smoothie? I don't know what smoothie is. It sounds sexual. But yeah, we'll talk about that for sure. These bony landmarks, I'm telling you, you're going to be able to count on, okay? Santiago, what's going on? Amreen, what up? Drop my coffee when you shouted buckle up. Gorons, appreciate you. IR Sculpts, what's going on, everybody? Damn, Hercules looking dice. What's up? I appreciate your help, Spicer. All I want to do is get better and better. Honestly, thank you. My pleasure. We're going to level you up right here on this stream, and everybody's going to be watching. Okay? And just a small little announcement. Okay? Small little announcement, because I know some of you have already learned a bunch. I already know. I already know. Okay? So if you want to learn more, you can go here. You can go to my ArtStation store. You can check out all of these tutorials, all of them individually are $84, or you can get the bundle and everything else that I do in the future for free with the Spicy Bundle. And the Spicy Bundle is going to have exclusive content such as my time lapse of the spawn I created. So you can watch me go from the planar head all the way to this from beginning to end. So yeah, that's exclusively for the Spicy Bundle. Mentorships are coming in about 2 weeks, 2 to 3 weeks. So if you want to level up your skills even quicker, even more, you can join my mentorship. And we will teach you all about collectibles, all about anatomy, and we will level you up. Okay? Alrighty. So you can see this is exactly what I'm talking about in terms of where the bony landmark is and where your mesh is. So I seriously want it to go all the way down to the bone, okay? And so here, what we need to do is get our proportions set, okay? So right there, we're just gonna move it for right now because we're gonna have to resculpt everything anyway. So I'm not concerned with maintaining any of this stuff, okay? Next, the next bony landmark is going to be the sternum and the head of the sternum, okay? So you can see yours, how far off it is from the sternum, right? So you can click, you know, tap your chest right here, and you're gonna feel right underneath your skin, your sternum. So another bony landmark, al dente, okay? Right there. And then we wanna make sure that the mesh isn't eating the clavicle. We wanna have all that right there, okay? So right there, right there. Okay, so where does the pec insert? Where does it attach to on the rib cage? What rib does the pectoralis attach to on the rib cage? Does anybody know in the chat? Does anybody know in the chat? Where does a pectoralis insert into the rib? 1 to 5. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. Alrighty. So, it is the 5th rib. It is the clavicle, the sternum, and the 5th rib. That is where it's attaching to. All right. So we're going to count it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we're going to bring this down, and we're going to go to the 5th rib right here. We're going to attach it all along there. And after it gets here, it's not going to be attached anymore. So now we're going to lift it up. We're going to make sure that we have an armpit in here. Okay. Right in there. And then we're also going to make sure that this is attaching to the clavicle, that's not out in space. Okay. So the pectoralis goes over the bicep and attaches to the outside right here underneath your deltoid, and your deltoid ends halfway down the humerus. Okay, so however long your upper arm is, halfway down it is where you are going to end that. Okay, right where this curve is, right here, boom, right there, right here, there's going to be a fossa. A fossa means an empty space, okay, in anatomy terms. So this is where your deltoid is going to attach, okay? So we're going to have this, and it's going to be right there, and it's going to come all the way over. And we have the end of the deltoid right here, okay? So it's going to create a muscle here because we've got it all compacted and twisted. Then we're going to get the middle head right here, and we're going to twist that over as well. And then we're going to get the rear delt, and that's going to end before we get to the clavicle. And the clavicle is another bony landmark, okay? So we can see how far your back is compared to the spine, right? So we're going to fix that too, BMV. And we're going to bring all this al dente, okay? All this al dente. Boom, boom, boom. We're gonna sculpt in these hips real quick.
Welcome to the ZBHO Dojo.
Oh, thank you very much. Goron007, thank you very much. Hada Kriyat, thank you very much. Adam, thank you very much for picking up a dojo shirt. Appreciate you and your stream, brother. Keep being awesome. Will do. Loveloo, Red Catchem, Shay RX, Angel, De Rosa. Thank you very much for following me on YouTube. If you don't know, I'm streaming exclusively to YouTube now, so just look me up by my name. Let me put that up here for you. So it's at the very top. You can find me on YouTube Friday nights at 9:30. Okay. Alrighty, so now that we have all this, we want to bring all this to the bone, right? You can see how far back your all this is. Okay, so we want to make sure this is much closer to the cervical spine. And we're going to just get all that. Get all this. And I'm going to lower the resolution to 480, actually. Just so it makes it easier on us. Because we don't need that much detail right now when we're just blocking things out. Okay. Alrighty. So we're going to have this. It's going to be pumped up, all that stuff. We're going to get our pectoralis kind of set. So right now, it's a little bit too bulky right here. Okay. So what I want to do is I want to shave that down, but I want to shave it down along with the rib cage. You can see how far off of the rib cage this thing is. So I'm going to bring it down a bit. And we're going to get that. We're going to have this a little bit closer, and then we're just going to bring it over for our deltoid. Right here. And transparency, and let's get this. So that's a little bit more manageable, right? Because imagine, you know, if we're doing this, right? If we're coming together like this, then our chest muscle is going to be nice and puffed because we're throwing our shoulders forward, we're flexing it, and our arms are in front of us, okay? Now, whenever we do this and raise our arm above us, we're stretching the pectoralis. So it's not going to have as much underhang unless our arms are down, right? Then we're going to have a very deep shadow. But in this case, it's not going to be that much, okay? So right here, we're just going to accentuate that, okay? Next thing we want to do is we want to make sure that our lat is separate from our serratus. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring this in, and then I'm going to attach the obliques here. So this is another bony landmark right here, right there. And then we need to come back up, okay? Because what we need to do is we need to expose this anterior superior iliac spine right here, okay? So we can't go keep going down. We need to go to the anterior superior iliac spine and then go back up and then go to the 9th rib, okay? So if this is 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, okay? So it's going to be this one, that one right there, okay? So that's going to be your oblique, okay? So, so now we have this separated. We can still bring this in for our armpit because it's still a little puffy and it's just taking up too much space. So if we're talking about Atlas, it's, you know, very idealistic proportions. You know, most bodybuilders are represented in their statues with like Atlas and all that stuff, or Hercules, or any of these types of mythological what are they called? Gods, or whatever you want to call them, okay? So so we can get that. We can also see how far off this is, right? And this is supposed to attach to the 5th rib. You can see it's not, right? It's really, really far off. So we want to bring that in so it's wrapped around the rib cage, right? Boom, boom, boom. Bam, bum, 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 bum. Oh, let me switch the there we go. All right. Okay. So we've got that. We can see how far off this is from the rib cage here. So we're going to bring that down as well. Okay. You can see how flat your back is. We're going to wrap that around the rib cage as well. Okay, everything is around the rib cage. If you don't understand the rib cage, you really need to understand it. Okay, you need to take some time and you need to study how it influences everything. And considering the upper body, it influences everything. Okay, so you definitely want to take a little bit of time to kind of understand all this. Okay, and then your characters will always be in proportion. Right there. Let's get our abs. We want to kick this back, right? For because it doesn't keep going down to the crotch, right? It ends at the abdomen, and then we have the groin begin from there. Okay. And then here we can kind of bring this together a bit more. All right, like that. Alrighty. And hopefully y'all can all understand that I'm only doing this in like 10-15 minutes, so there's going to be lots of rough areas, but we're just trying to bring everything a little bit closer. Okay? Alrighty. So now we've got something a little bit more believable. Okay. So now what we're going to do is we're going to get the lat to come out. Okay, we want this to come out. We want to go forward first, and then we want it to roll back and attach to the back of our hip or our posterior iliac spine here. Okay. Okay. And then we're going to clean that up. Okay. So there's going to be a tube at the very edge of the lat until we get to the last floating ribs, which is going to be right around it. Okay. Next thing we want to do is we want to get this scapula to the bone. Okay. So you can see we still got quite a bit of ways before we get there. Okay. Queen Serve! Ain't nothing beta about this t-shirt. I appreciate you, sister. Thank you very much. Craft and canvas! Thank you very much. Thank you for being here. Alrighty. So we're going to get this down to the scapula. Okay. So we want to go from the scapula. We want to go down to the 9th rib. This is going to be our serratus muscle. So this is 12, 11, 10, 9. Okay, so we want to go here. And this is a type of details that a lot of people are missing in their back. Okay. So make sure you pay attention. All right. So here, your traps are going to end at your last thoracic vertebra. But whenever they do that, they're going to be very small. So I don't want to see a lot of bulkiness right at the bottom, right? It's becoming a tendon and attaching to the spine. So it shouldn't create that much form at the bottom, okay? Then we want to take our 7th cervical vertebra. This is going to be another bony landmark. So we want to have that there. And then we're going to get our traps and we're going to give our spear of aponeurosis, okay? So here, making sure that's to the bone as well. And then we won't have extremely large traps when we don't want them, okay? This will kind of keep you in balance, okay? So your traps are going to come from the back of your skull. They're going to go to the edge, to the spine of the scapula, the very edge of it. And it's also going to come down and it's going to attach to where on the superior edge of the clavicle, where you're on the opposite side of your anterior head of your deltoid. So wherever this is beginning, that's where you're going to bring your trap, but you're just going to stop at the clavicle. You're not going to go over the clavicle, okay? And then you're going to get all this and you're just going to make sure it's all aesthetically even, okay? So now we've got that. Bring this here. We can fill that up because we know that's our skeleton. Okay. So right there. Smooth that out. Okay. So now we've got something a little bit better. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lift this up, start using the move brush. Get our bundle of pectoralis muscles here. Let's take out this halftone. Right there, smooth it out. Okay. So your bicep is originating from this little hook right here. And right underneath, diagonal and underneath the acromion process. Okay. And this is where your bicep is coming from. So all you gotta do is just draw a line, and then you know that's where it's going, okay? Whenever we have our hand supinated, right? Pronate, supinate, okay? Whenever we have this and we are bending our bicep, there's gonna be space between the peak of our bicep and our forearm. So I don't wanna see the bicep squished up against that, okay? So your elbow is a bony landmark. So we're going to bring this here and do something like that, okay? We're going to bring this over because we want it going down the humerus. Okay. We want this not to be this tall. We want it to come down, right? Bring that forward. Smooth, smooth, smooth. Then you can determine what type of bicep you want to sculpt, okay? But again, from here, it's going to attach to the humerus, okay? Coming around and going back, okay? And this is all going underneath the shoulder, right? So the shoulder is going to be on top and the bicep will be coming out from underneath it, okay? So next, your tricep is going to insert into your scapula here on the side. So we're going to bring this a bit closer. Not too close. Right there. And we're going to insert our tricep into our scapula, okay? So we're going to have our deltoid go over, okay? And then we're going to have our tricep, our inside head right here. We're gonna have this insert into the side of the scapula. And it's going right there into the scapula, okay? Oops. And we wanna come out and kind of like a semicircle. And then we want to carry the third head to the epicondyle of the humerus right here. Okay, and bring that tricep out. And we want to make sure the inside head is much longer than the lateral head, because this is referred to as the short head of the tricep. Okay, and then we're going to come around and we are going to attach it to the olecranon, or our elbow, right? Which is another bony landmark. So doesn't matter how you feel about it and how weird it looks, you still want to bring all that there, okay? To the bone, here, to the bone, to the bone. Okay. All that to the bone, al dente, al dente. Okay. Amazing how you work with transparency. I do the same, and it is hard for me to see. Just turn off ghost, and then if you want to, you can go to preferences, draw, and you can increase the back opacity, and you'll be able to see through it more. Okay. But I like keeping it around 25. Okay. So right there, and then bring that over. Okay, so right there, boom, boom. We want to get our flexors all coming from this epicondyle, so we know we can shave that off because it's got to come from here. And it's going to go down the center of your palm. So I'm gonna use BMN. I'm gonna grab, oops. I'm gonna grab all of that. Oops, wait. Let's just do that. It'll be easier. Okay. Alrighty. So first thing we want to do is we want to we can use back face masking just so we can kind of pull on one side, pull on one side, pull on this side. Okay. So first thing we want to do is just kind of tame this down. Okay, it's a little bit too aggressive. Okay, and we're gonna bring this over right there. Smooth. Alrighty. So now what we can do is we can get our brachialis. So that's going to come over here. It's going to go around your radius, and then it's going to attach to the side right here. So I want to fill this area up. Okay. And concerning the bicep, I want it to be thinner here as it's coming out of our shoulder. I want it to be widest around the middle, and then I want it to come back. Right, so it's going to be thin again because it's becoming an attachment point, so it's not going to retain its width all the way through and through. Okay. And then we're going to have the brachialis on both sides, and that's going to go to the end of our deltoid here. Okay. Smooth that out. Bring that over. Get our tricep. Get our third head. Common tendon. There we go. Okay. So I think that's enough information for you today. But yeah, you wanna keep these things in mind to ensure that you are sculpting everything as believably as possible. But yeah, for you, I would suggest sculpting it in symmetry just so it's easier and you can get it done. Using the skeleton to kind of put in your bony landmarks, and knees bent like this isn't very stable for power lifters and all that. Okay, so I would rethink that and lift this up a bit. Right there. Okay. So, but yeah, that's what I would do, brother. And you give them really wide lats, all that stuff. Okay. So hopefully, hopefully that helps. Hopefully that helps. Crafting canvas in the house. How do you remember the proportions? I just use the skeleton, and then after a while, it becomes part of my visual memory, and then I just can kind of just guesstimate it, right? Schmoove it coming in with a hot clip. Let's see. 6 yeah. Tamim, damn, I messed up a lot. Don't worry about it. That's what we're here for. Ruben Action Man. Mav 3D, except the where he's Big Chungus now, apparently. Oh, yeah. Crafted canvas. The skeleton he's using underneath the sculpt is helping guiding his proportions. Great trick to help out. Yep, definitely check it out. Check it out. Check it out. I was trying to sculpt straight from pose, so should I just sculpt symmetrical then tweak the pose? Yeah, for you, because you're starting out, you want to make sure you understand the muscles pretty far before you start sculpting in pose. Okay, just take it step by step, because you don't want to, if you're here and you're trying something up here and you keep failing and failing and failing, you're just going to demotivate yourself. But if you take a step, accomplish that, then take another step, and then take another step, then you can get yourself up to working in pose. Okay. Ashref, sorry Sensei, I'm late. No problem, brother. I appreciate you being here. Baby's first puke. What's going on? Man, I gotta go to bed. Only if I knew the dude of dudes was streaming. Appreciate you being here, brother. Man, here we are having lectures about the details of the muscles, where and how are attached. Thanks, man. I can never find educative videos like this one. Well, go check out my art station. Go check it out. Plenty of things there that are very affordable for you to level up your skills. So go check them out. Go check them out. Sergio, what's going on? Appreciate you being here. I'm doing well. How are you? Rock. Spice, I've learned so much anatomy from your streams. Thanks. My pleasure. Mentorships are coming in about 2 to 3 weeks. So they're going to be about around $300 to $400 for each session. So each session is going to be one interview in 6 weeks of one-on-one instruction. So basically 1 day a week, we schedule a time for an hour and we sit back and we go over where you want to go, where you are, and what things we need to work on to make sure you can take that next step autonomously, right? You don't need someone watching you and guiding you the whole time. My goal is to make you autonomous, so hopefully that will happen. Meme, thanks, man. My pleasure. What can I do so I don't overpower the muscles? I keep trying to make it natural, but whenever I build it up, I bring it out too much. Just pay attention to your bony landmarks and make sure that they are that they're represented well, because that will allow you to have the contrast between a bunch of bulging muscles and hard surface areas, and it'll create that visual complexity that you're looking for. ShayRX Spicer, how's it going? I've been enjoying the unfiltered version of the dojo in your channel. Oh, thanks very much, brother. Yeah, if you want to come hang out, let me put my link tree up in here. Yeah. You can go to my YouTube. We stream Friday nights, and we just let it go. So definitely come and check it out. All right. Next, we have Thivolon. Nice. Alrighty. Let's turn off all the information. Alrighty. So it's looking good. Very nice. Okay. Alrighty. Okay. So there's lots of good stuff going on here. Let's take a look. Okay. So, just some minor. Some minor things. Just make sure his traps don't begin too soon. Okay. Want to make sure that the jawline right here is getting very, very, very thin right here, and I would like to see some stretching going around the dang it, come on, D, S, there we go. I'd like to see it stretching around, like I don't know if you can see it, but it goes around the chin and goes up, right? It goes around the mental eminence and then goes up, kind of like a stretching going this way, right? Okay. Also, it's losing a lot of form here, so I would make sure it doesn't just suddenly become very thin. I would bring this out and make sure it's a little bit more substantial. Let's see. Alrighty. Possibly a little bit more separation here. Just so it's not going up and over the nose so much. Just giving it a little bit more space here. Because even though this is, I mean, it's obviously Jim Carrey, right? And he did have some type of makeup, some type of layer of skin on here, but everything was still based off of the proportions and the bony landmarks of the face, right? Because they can accentuate the things, but they can't really deform it, right? I guess is the best way to put that. And so it's basically what I'm saying is that it's laying on top of his face, so we just want to make sure that the nasolabial fold and the nasalis aren't obscuring the depth of the nose from the maxilla of the face, right? Right there. Let's see. And for the nose, again, we want to go back up into the nose, so I'm going to use a standard brush. And so it's going to go back up into the nose, right here at the very edge. Okay. Again, here as well, going back up into the nose. Okay. Your alar cartilage, don't forget your shelf here. So you should have a shelf that comes out to the edge of the alar cartilage. Okay, a little bit thicker on here. It is going to be stretched, but it's just a little bit too thin. And then whenever we get our alar cartilage, we want to go back up into the nose. Okay, back up into the nose, and then we can get where we're always finding our best boogers, right there. Okay, I mean, that's a gold mine right there, the booger gold mine, right? Possibly a little bit more. A little bit more around the nostril, right here. Okay. Those are the ears. And here, instead of it going straight back, I would like to see a little bit more of the zygomatic here, so all this temporalis can kind of feed into it. And we want to make sure it's roughly in the middle of where the zygomatic would be. And that'll give you, just to ensure that you have a little bit more grace about all these small little things, because you don't want to, you know, have a straight line when you could have a very nice elegant curve. Okay.
and then a little bit more of the jaw here. So you want it to go straight and then down, right? Here, boom. We're going to give it an angle, boom. Right, that's kind of what I see in my head when I'm doing this. So it's gonna give you a nice, we can smooth that one out. It's a little bit too aggressive, but yeah, I would definitely do that. You can even bring them out a little bit as well. Something like that. But yeah, that separation of the nose is gonna be pretty important. Your infraorbital furrows looking good. I would possibly bring this around, and even though you have the wrinkles going the way they are, which is fine, so just complete this tarsal plate a little bit more, make sure it goes around, and then you could still have all the detail on top of that. Just a little bit more of the tarsal plate so it's clear, right? And then yeah, you have really good right here. Possibly getting our lacrimal punctum here. Getting this just a little bit more. This one is really good. This one's much better. That one's much, much better. And you're definitely going to want a thicker eyelid up top. Okay. Solo. And so we also need it a bit thicker as well, so we don't have that pocket behind the eye. Okay. Yeah, your eyelids should be pretty thick, and you definitely don't want your bottom eyelid to be thicker than your top eyelid, because 9 times out of 10 your superior tarsal plate is thicker than your inferior tarsal plate. Right, so making sure all this is nice and thick, and also right down here as well. Okay. Alrighty, so and we definitely want this, and then we want these to go back. Right. I think when I was pulling it up, I was also pulling it out as well. All right, there we go. Okay. So yeah, just some small things. Mostly you deal with the nose and completing this, and separating it from the head. Accentuating the angle of the jaw here. It's going to give you, instead of just having it round off and get really thin, you're going to have this nice little blocky bit right here that's going to break up everything else that's going on here. Okay, and then making sure that whenever we get here to the mandible, that it doesn't get so thin, right? We still need the mandible bone, so we don't want it to get too thin. And then we also want to make sure that I'm pretty sure you've already considered this, but take another look again about this skin stretching underneath the mental eminence and giving you this little stretch right here. We'll take a look at that. But other than that, everything's looking really good. Maybe a little scrunch right here, because he is bringing all that down, so maybe a little bit more of a scrunch for the procerus muscle here that rests on top of your nose. And then probably deepening the nasal labial fold just a little bit more. But yeah, everything's looking really good, man. Everything's looking really, really good. Let's turn the texturing back on. I'm not a fan of this stuff. I don't know if it's just the material or what, but it's not my favorite. It's not my favorite. Yeah. I'm just not sure. I don't know. Is he supposed to be like spinning around? Is that what he's doing or something? It's supposed to be like a little bit of a tornado. I don't know. It just doesn't. It doesn't seem up to the level of everything else here. I mean, you have such great details and wrinkles, and you obviously spent a lot of time putting all this together. And this just seems kind of as a secondary thought. I would just give it a nice little pedestal and just attach it that way and be done with it, because this stuff is not my favorite. Okay, if this is going to be 3D printed, then these tassels would be better to be thicker so they don't just easily pop off whenever we print them. Okay, so be careful about that. But yeah, everything else is looking pretty good, brother. Looking pretty good. I appreciate you allowing me to critique your work. Every time you brought something in, it's been pretty high level. So keep going, brother. Keep going. All right. Alrighty, Andy, man. Andy, are you here, Andy? Alrighty, let's see. How to make teeths, please? You just download teeth. Just download teeth. All right, you just find teeth free OBJ and you download as many as you can and you choose which one you like. All right. Brando Actual, this looks great. Love this movie too. Super fun character. Oh yeah, he did a great job on that. Good job, Thibaut. Thank you, Spicer. I've been focusing on facial anatomy recently, so I really need the feedback on this one. My pleasure. You have the XMD on demand, and it goes through facial anatomy back and forth. So watch it. Baby's first puke, awesome. I like that stuff. Yeah, the rendered wasn't focused on that part, no problem. I'm currently supporting a model with lots of fur that points down. Island overload. Oh yeah. Alrighty, people. So we are going to take a look at Andy's portrait right here, and we're going to give him some tips and you some tips that you can count on every single face that you're going to sculpt for the rest of your life. Okay? If this is the type of thing that interests you, if this is the type of thing that excites you, something that you're very interested in learning to level up your skills as a ZBrush artist, as a employable artist, then make sure you like, make sure you subscribe, make sure you comment down below. Let's get into it. Okay. So first thing that sticks out to me is how thick the head is, right? We have it very thin, but then when we go this way, it's very, very long. Okay. So what I would do is I would grab the move brush and I would move all this up, right? Move all this up. Okay. Across from the nose is the end of the skull. Okay, so we want to bring that. Right above the ears is going to be the tallest point of the head, and the ears are generally going to be in the center of the head. Be a little bit further back, some more further back, but generally you're going to put it in the center of the head. Okay. Next thing that's pointing out to me or sticking out to me is how soft the jawline is, and then how it disappears as soon as we get to the chin. Okay, so kind of like on the mask, we want to have a nice solid jawline here. Okay, So I can age this guy 10 years with just one move. All right, y'all ready? Boom. Now he's 10 years older. You see that? Youthful, late 40s. Youthful, late 40s. Later, IR. Thanks for being here. Thanks for being here. Host of Heaven, welcome, welcome, welcome. All right, so be very careful with your jawline, especially right here around the jaw, the jowling, right here. Okay. So next we got the head a little bit more in proportion, so we're doing better. Next thing is that your chin is pretty much an L right here. So what we need to do is we need to separate the chin first. So right here, we need to separate that chin. Okay. Right there. Okay. We also need one more plane. So we need one coming out from underneath the lip, coming out, going down, and then going diagonally down and then back. Okay. Those are the typical angles that we're going for. Okay. Next, your bottom lip and your upper lip are pretty much meeting each other. So if we do that, it's going to feel like duck lips or something like this. Okay, so if that's what you're looking for, then you can keep it. If not, you want to make sure that your bottom lip is underneath and behind your upper lip. Okay. Next is the eyes are really shallow. Okay, so what I want to do is we want to imagine the orbit first. You'll just have to imagine the orbit. Okay, so we want to have our infraorbital furrow. So whatever this is whatever that is. And then we're just going to bring it all together. Okay, so that's what our orbit is doing. So now what we need to do is kind of kick all this back so our orbit can be in the forefront, right? Everything's going to be housed within the orbit. Okay. So to the end of the eyelid is a good amount of distance. You can see how much thicker your bottom one is compared to the top. So we're going to adjust that because your upper eyelid is thicker than your bottom eyelid. 9 times out of 10. And just making sure that we don't have any space underneath there. Okay. Alrighty, so lacrimal punctum, boom. And then it comes down, down, down. Okay. Lacrimal punctum, it's right there, and then it goes down and around. Right there, right there. Smooth that out, infraorbital furrow. And then we're going to separate everything else, or at least put it behind that, okay? So now we got a little bit better eyes. We have a little wiggle wobble here, but it can't be helped due to the topology, okay? But if we want to bring the skin over the eye, what we're gonna do now, let's raise this. So I'm gonna mask the edge, and then I'm going to bring this up because it's supposed to be 3 times the height of the lower tarsal blade, right? So you get that. Okay, going to make sure that the orbit's coming down and over. We're going to separate the nasal bone from the orbit and the superciliary arches and the glabella. Glabella should be in the top 25 to 30% of the eye for males. Not all, but most. Okay. And we want to make sure this is sitting in the orbit, right? We don't want it coming out of the orbit. And we want to make sure that the upper tarsal plate is going over the bottom one. Okay. Okay. Alrighty. So Next thing we want to do is get our nasal labial fold. Well, let's separate this nose a bit more, right? So I want everybody in the dojo to start developing a little bit more space from the maxilla, which is this bone, right? Everything that's not your nasal bone, your malar, zygomatic, temporal, all that, all basically the front of your face, right here is your maxilla. And so right here, there's a good amount of distance, right? There's like almost half a finger of distance from the edge of my nose, yeah, to the base of my skull, okay? So make sure you start doing that, all right? There's a good amount of space in here that y'all need to start adhering to, okay? Then we're gonna get the fold right here, which is gonna go around. The deeper this is, the older the person is, okay? So it just depends on how old you wanna make this individual, okay? And then we're going to get this orbicularis oris, and we're gonna even out this area around the mouth, okay? There shouldn't be any sudden increases or decreases around this area, okay? It should be all quite subtle. Okay. All right, so the nose is looking good. It's just a bit too sharp here. We need a little bit more fleshy right around there, okay? And we need to kick that back, smooth it out. And again, we want to have this go back up into the nose, right? So at the very edge of the nostril, it's going to go back up. All right, and you're going to dig that. And then the alar cartilage, we're going to get our nostril. It's going to come up and then back down, right? Because our nostril needs to end. And from this angle, we're going to get our alar cartilage. So it's going to come down and back this way, okay? It's going to leave your septal cartilage alone. And you're going to send this back up into the nose, and then the gold mine for all the boogers right there, okay? And we're going to get that. We're going to smooth it out so it's not so dramatic. And get that going, okay? So now we have a visually more interesting nose, and the problem with it is that we don't have the shelf. All right. Smooth it out. There we go, much better. And also your septal cartilage is up higher than your nostril is, so it's causing another issue, okay? We're gonna make this forehead a bit more interesting by adding the forehead, right? So we want this here, we want a frontal bone, then we want a ray of sunshine coming out from it. So I'm holding Alt and digging in around this. Smoothing it out, okay? And then another thing we want to do is right around here, around the temple, we want to dig this in, okay? And that's going to give you that lift off that you're looking for, okay? A little bit more of the brow, smooth, smooth, smooth. Okay. Straight from the bottom of the orbit here is going to be the top of the zygomatic. Bottom of the nose is going to be the bottom of the malar, so it's roughly going to be right about there. So we're going to bring that down right there. We're going to make sure that this area of the zygomatic, it's going to go back into the ear hole. Right around here is going to be the widest, okay? And you can see the front of your face is pretty much straight up and down. We want to angle it back, okay? We want to bring this malar forward. Smooth all that out, okay? So next thing we want to do is we want to have the 3 hits of the nose. So we need the glabella up nice and high, top third of the orbit, for males, halfway for females. So females would be right about down there. Okay. So then we're gonna have the nasal bone. Okay. It's gonna come out, and then we're gonna have the alar going into the septal. Right there. Okay. And we're gonna smooth out these nostrils so they're not so hard surface, all right? And we're gonna move that together and bring this back. And bring that down and build that up, okay? So on each side of the septal cartilage, we're going to have the philtrum right here, okay? So this is also going to be the bounding box of where this first pad comes into play, okay? And then the two pads on the side, boom, boom. And then we're gonna round this off and we're gonna split it down the middle. Okay. And next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna close this mouth by using inflate, and we're gonna tap it together. Okay. And we can kind of get that, and we want this Cupid's bow right here to be the peak and then have it come down, okay? So we can get our Damien standard and kind of get that out, okay? So next, the angle of the jaw. I would like to see a much stronger angle here. So we're gonna have the angle of the jaw right here and just accentuate it a little bit more and bring it out. Okay. And that's gonna give you that little wing action that you're looking for, that nice little square jaw. Boom, and then coming back, okay? Next, we need to add the nodes of the mouth so that our lips don't just suddenly end, they actually go into the nodes of the mouth here. We want to get our nasal labial fold, which is going to go around that node. It's going to be puffiest around the nose. Okay, so and then it's going to tame itself down. Okay. And then we're going to expose the malar right here. And let's smooth that out too. It's a little bit too aggressive. We just want it around here is where we want it the puffiest, right? Okay, and we're gonna get that infraorbital furrow here and make sure it's locked in. Okay. And we're gonna get our canthal tendon right here. Alrighty. So that's kind of what I would do to take this sculpt to the next level. Okay. So let's take a look at what it is and what it was. Okay. And then make sure you put eyebrows on this thing. All right. Make sure you do it. Lucas, what's going on? The Marco Keo, I don't know why beginners, we always make the same mistake. It is also difficult for me to do the eye orbits in the correct way. Oh yeah, it is. It takes a while, but you'll get it. I don't understand what you mean when you say 3 times the height. That means that the let me go back here. So the height of this tarsal plate is going to be 3 times the size of the bottom tarsal plate. All right, so we should have this tarsal plate or this eyelid be longer or taller than the upper eyelid. Okay, and generally it's a 1 to 3. Okay, so hopefully that answers your question. Guargon, what's going on? Appreciate you being here. Giacomo Balboni, thanks for all the tips. My pleasure. Okay. But yeah, thanks for letting me work on this. I do appreciate everyone in the dojo working together to improve each other. If you are looking to have your work critiqued on ZBrush Live, go here to the ZBHO Dojo and you can join. It's free, and I give free critiques on ZBrush Live. You just gotta submit it here within the time given. Okay. Generally, if you get it in on Monday afternoon, Monday night, you'll be first. Okay. Silent Moon, Lamar, Winston, Silent Moon again. Giacomo and Jacob, thank you very much for joining the ZBHO Dojo. Please enjoy the memes. This is by far the greatest memes in all of Discord. All right, we have the greatest memes in all of Discord, guaranteed. Alrighty. But yeah, definitely join the Discord. And again, if you want to level up your skills, go to my ArtStation store and pick yourself up some of these tutorials. I would suggest getting the spicy bundle. It's $9 cheaper than if you bought them all individually. And whenever you buy it, everything I add, you get for free after you bought it. So this thing should probably be going up to about $200, $250 when all the tutorials and exclusives are added. So if you've been thinking about it, I would highly suggest you do it now, because next week it's going to go up another $10. I'm going to be adding the eye anatomy to it. So get in while you can. Okay. All right. And then last thing for your eyes, I would roll them out a little bit so they don't look like they're cross-eyed. Okay. Alrighty. So, who was that? Andyman. Attentive Slug. What's up, Hairy Mandibles? Thank you very much for being here, Mr. Mandibles. Oh, that's the skeleton. Okay. Alrighty, everybody. We are going to be looking at Attentive Slug's sculpt here. If you have learned anything about anatomy, anything about sculpting, and it has helped you in any way, make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. Helps us all out. And let's get into it. Okay. So, need breast help. Alrighty. Well, let's address some of the other areas, because that's kind of like a tertiary thing. That's one of the last things you're gonna do on this. Okay. So, where's the rest of the skeleton? Where's the rest of the skeleton? Cancel. It's hidden. Alrighty. So let's talk about some things. Okay, so do you want her to be muscular? Do you want her to be like a warrior? Yes. Okay. So things to maintain the femininity of the form and make it muscular is that the hips need to be wider than the rib cage. Okay, that's first things first. Okay, hips will be wider than the rib cage. All right. Second is that the glabella is going to be halfway down the eye, and the angle of the jaw is going to be very nice and subtle, and so will the chin. Okay. For the body, what I would do is, let me turn this off. Let's turn on transparency. Let's go here. Okay. So I would bring all this down. What is going on? Right, and now she's gonna have much better time. Okay, and at the bottom of the pelvic floor is going to be the widest. From the pelvic floor, it's going to be the widest. Okay. I love sculpting female hips. They're just the most elegant, beautiful thing on earth. Alrighty. Okay, so we've got that. Yeah, this rib cage to lat is really, really good. This is the type of thing that I stress for all my students to really, really pay attention to, especially if you want someone to look very bulky, right? That's gonna show through how the rib cage is interacting with that, okay? For the breasts, depending on how large they are, they're going to go further and further down the rib cage. Okay, so it should come back up into the 5th rib. So yours is a little bit low, just depending on how large you want the breast size, right? If it's very, very large, it's going to go down to probably the 7th rib. If they're going to be athletic size breasts, then it's most likely going to attach to the 5th rib. Okay, I'm gonna bring that up, bring this up, smooth, smooth, smooth. And generally what I do for breasts is I just add a cylinder, or not a cylinder, a sphere, you know, a breast shaped sphere on at the very end. Up until that point, I just worry about the pectoralis. But yeah, I need to put together some type of lecture about breasts because a lot of people are having difficulty with them. Okay, so here, just bringing this down, bring it a bit closer so she looks more fit. Alrighty. Okay, so your deltoid should be going right about here. Your bicep is a little bit too short, so if we're gonna bring this over, you can see how much more room you have for your bicep here. And we want to make sure that it's going down the center of the humerus. Right now yours is off to the side, so it's closing in the silhouette of your rib cage. Okay, and also it's getting much wider and much thicker as it's becoming an attachment point. So we want to address that as well, right? Smooth, smooth, smooth. All right, and we want to get this, the end of the deltoid, we want to bring that in, right? So we have 1, 2, 3 coming in. And then we want the bicep going up and down the humerus. Right there. Bring that over, smooth, smooth, smooth. And the brachialis. So brachialis is, you have your, or I'm sorry, your brachioradialis, but this is your brachialis. coming from the end of your deltoid, right here, and then coming over this way, okay? Right over here, bringing it over. Right around this radius is where you want to kick that in. Okay, you want to bring that over. Should be, you should be able to feel, like if you just feel it right there, you can feel your epicondyle of your humerus, right? And then right there, right, you're going to feel your this epicondyle right here. So this is a bony landmark, so we don't want it to come out too far, okay? This epicondyle right here is going to be another bony landmark that we want to accentuate, okay? Yeah, this one comes with the female skeleton comes with ZBrush. You just go to Tool, Ryan Kingsland, and it'll be right there. Okay. Alrighty, so we can kind of smooth this out. Right there. Okay. And then we want to bring this over. You can see how it's kind of just coming out and then stopping. We want to be a little bit more tactful about it. We want to grab this, bring it down a little bit. Smooth. Right here, let's go around that epicondyle. And smooth that out. Alrighty, so next thing we want to do is we want to really get our elbow locked in. So we want that right there. And then we want our deltoid, which is going to be all of this and then come around. And then we want a head coming off each side of this, right? So we want to separate it out that way and then come this way. Okay. And then have our lateral head. All right, anterior head right here. And we want our traps to go in line with that, right? So we want to go to the opposite side of the clavicle. Alrighty, so that's a little bit better. Let's get the tricep. Alrighty, so let's go here. And let's grab that. Okay. Alrighty. So what we want to do is get our silhouette first. Alrighty, let's move this a little bit more down the humerus, right? You can see how it's kind of sloping off. Want it to go down the arm. Get this, give it a little bit more space, and we can elongate this muscle a little bit more. Alrighty, smooth, smooth, smooth. Okay. And let's, oops, no. Okay. So we want the brachialis to come here. Okay. We want the brachioradialis to come from there. We want the tricep to come from the side. And then wrap around our olecranon, right? So we want this to go down a little bit because we want a separation between these two muscles, right? Bring this around, make sure it wraps around the olecranon. And then your inside head is going to come from your scapula, okay? So if we were going to sculpt this, is a little bit too far out to the side. Probably bring it in a little bit more. And we can still have this lap taking up some space, but the tricep is connecting right here. So we want to make sure that this isn't too low. Because then it's going to make our entire arm feel short. But now it feels much more in line with what we need to have. Okay. Alrighty. So let's mark in the spine of the scapula. Boom, 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 boom. Let's mark in the blade of the scapula and continue that down into the serratus muscles right here. Okay. So we need some form change here. We can't just draw a line. Okay. And we want this to wrap around the rib cage. So we're going to bring the rib cage back. Right here. We're going to go back to our body. Nope, nope. Where is it? Where is it? There it is. Okay. And we're going to make sure this is following the rib cage. Okay. Right there. Going down. And that's going to give you a little bit more complexity in your back, so it's not just so square or so flat, right? And you're going to have this nice little bony landmark here to really base everything off of, okay? And if she's going to be muscular, then we want this to go into the bony landmark, right? So we want it to go into that bony landmark. If we wanted her normal, we would have it level off into that bony landmark. And then this would be on top, okay? That bony landmark. But since, you know, it's muscular, it's going to feed into it, okay? A little bit more here. A little bit more there. And sternocleido. And this should be going to the head of your sternum right here. Okay, so we can fill all this in and make sure that goes there. And this goes here. Okay. All right. And so now it's much higher, and it's not going to feel so droopy whenever we're doing this, okay? Alrighty, so let's talk about the flexors. So they're going to come from this epicondyle that we set, and it's going to end right around here and then just become tendon and all that stuff. So we want to keep all the muscle up here and then dissipate. Okay. Alrighty, so we're going to get our tricep head, third, or the long head, and then the third head coming down to that epicondyle. So there's more than one reason to really understand where that is, okay? So long head, short head, and then aponeurosis, right? So short head, long head. And so you can see how asymmetrical that is, right? And then a bunching up of skin. Boom. Boom. Alrighty, bring that over and and attaching it to the side, and then we're going to have our flexors come out. And get that. And just getting the form of it first. And it should be going down the back of your wrist, okay? The flexors, everything that has to deal with closing your hand, is going to go down the center of your wrist, right? Back of the wrist, center of the wrist, all that good stuff, okay? Brachialis here, we're just going to smooth that out. Right there. And smooth that out. Let's see. Don't know if we need it. 10, 20. Oops. 1202. Who cares? All right, that's too low. 2048. Wow. Okay. So, that's what I would do with the arms and everything, and the same stuff over here that I did over here. See if this bicep's a little bit too short. Yeah, it is. So we're gonna bring that down a little bit. There we go. That's much better. Okay. So yeah, it's got a nice little profile and everything. You know, you can smooth all that out. There is Elaine Physique, I think is her name. She's really good on Instagram. Let's see. See if I can find her for you. Her name's Rahel Kuchia, I think is her name. She's got great physique for everything you're trying to do. See how that deltoid comes out, down, and back in, and then you can see the bicep and then the brachialis, right? So the biceps here, and the brachialis is the width. Okay. But yeah, you should be able to find everything you need with her. So if you are going to, yeah, I think this is a pose that you're kind of going with, right? If you are going to use reference, you want to use one individual, okay? I don't want to grab her, then someone else, and 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 put it all together. Later, Thibalon, thanks for being here. You don't want to do that because then it's going to look like a Frankenstein. Okay, that's not what you want. You want it to look like one individual. Okay, so I would definitely use her Rahel Anastasia IFBB Pro. And she just got great musculature and form and figure. Right? Okay. Alrighty? Alrighty. So let's see. Gorgon, yeah, I already followed her and 100 more people like her. Oh yeah. Okay. So let's see what time it is. Alrighty, everybody. So again, if you have not yet, make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. Make sure to go check out my ArtStation store. Pick up that spicy bundle. Mentorships are going to be going live in about 2 to 3 weeks, so make sure you are ready. They should be about $300 to $400 for 6 weeks with the Spicy Sensei to level up your anatomy skills permanently. You can ask Harry Mandibles. All right,
You can ask any of my past students, Crafting Canvas, IR Sculpts, Queen Serb, a bunch of others in here. Where is that? Yeah. So make sure you check it out, pick it up. You will not be disappointed. 5 stars all over the place. You don't believe me? You don't believe me? You don't believe me? Huh? You don't believe me? Where is it? Where is it? Why is this not working anymore? Why is this link not working? All right, there we go. All right. 5 stars. 5 star, 5 star, 5 star. All right. 5 stars all over the place. Pick it up now. Okay. Other than that, you can check out my link tree for all my other all of my other channels, all the other stuff. Friday nights I am streaming with Mandibles and Leo David, Thunderstorm Art, Carbon 44444, and Rafa Digital Art. And we're just working on our comic books on Friday night, and it's all, you know, just good times, good stuff. So make sure to join me on YouTube. My own channel, I solely stream to YouTube, so make sure to follow me there. All right, but before we go, and if I didn't catch you this time, don't worry, I will get you next week. But before we go, let us enter the Scott Eaton Templar. Thank you very much for being here. You know I love it. You know I love seeing all the dojo warriors in here, submitting their work, trying to get better every single day. That's what the dojo is here for. Okay? So make sure you show up Tuesdays, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time, right here to Pixologic Live. Submit your work. We'll go over it. We'll take you to that next level. And you're going to love it. You're going to love every second of it. All right? But before we go, we have over 106 quintillion people watching right now. Multiple galaxies and universes coming together to watch the ZBHO Dojo along with all of you. So if you want to skip years of learning, if you want to level yourself up quicker than you've ever been leveled up before, you'll be here next week. You'll get that spicy bundle. You'll get that mentorship. And you'll follow me on YouTube. Prolonged eye contact. Prolonged eye contact. We are all one.